Hi there, folks. Back again for another video. In this one, I thought I would take you through some of the new stuff that's coming out for Warhammer Age of Sigmar at the moment. One of the more recent books that's been added to the library is the new Path to Glory supplement, which is called Ravaged Coast, as you can see there, which is a brand new selection of narrative rules for playing thematically based campaigns set within the immortal realms of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Basic Path to Glory rules exist within the core rulebook, but this set of rules that they've designed here as part of Ravaged Coast effectively replace those, and you use these if you're going to be doing a specifically Ravaged Coast themed campaign on the tabletop. So we're going to go through this, and I'm just going to talk you through a little bit about the book and what I think. So this is set in Akshi, and it is based on the events that are currently ongoing within the Mortal Realms regarding Warhammer Age of Sigmar and the Skaven Doom and the threat of chaos in the Mortal Realms throughout the course of the last couple of books and releases and things that we've seen for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. You will need the core book in order to use these rules, although a lot of the core rules can be found online. As it says here, you do not need to have played an Ascension campaign before playing Ravaged Coast or vice versa. Effectively, they sit separate from each other. And in many cases, you could transfer over a lot of things that you already played using the Ascension campaign and that sort of inductory battle pack to kind of move on and dive deeper into what they've done here as part of Ravaged Coast. The book kind of spreads out a bunch of background information about what's happening on the Ravaged Coast at the moment. As you might have imagined, the Skaven are causing quite a little bit of havoc up and down the coastline, and you can see a little bit of a map there which kind of gives you an idea of what it all looks like at the moment. Emberstone is where a lot of the focal point is right now. That's where the new Warhammer Underworlds set is currently staged. And a lot of the other goings-on tend to be around this kind of area anyway when it comes to the narrative and where we're seeing the story develop and stuff for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, as is sort of common now with the Age of Sigmar books. We have a full gatefold interior here, so it gives you a better view of Akshi there, which is quite cool, alongside some breakdowns of the various cities and the battlefields that people are playing over, battles out over at the moment. So it's definitely worth having a look at that in more detail and exploring a bit more of that. I was quite happy to see my chamber of choice, the chamber faction of choice, the Anvils of the Heldenhammer, front and centre with this particular book, which was great. So yes, nice to see them back in the action, kicking ass and taking names. What's quite good about this is that because it's a narratively themed book, the design team who put together this particular supplement have actually added in a selection of their own stories covering the likes of Varkar Dreadaxe, as you can see there. So you can see how a typical Path to Glory campaign might play out and the kind of things that you can do as a group or maybe a couple of friends or as part of a wargaming club. You know, how you can plot out your campaigns and what you can do. Like, you can tell stories, you can come up with cool background and information. You also have, for example, the Flesh Eater Courts there, represented by a character that they've done as like a really badass sort of converted miniature, which is always nice to see. And you also have got the Auruks in there as well, for good measure, which is nice. And yeah, so this is just a really nice kind of like idea of kind of how you can tell your interesting stories in Path to Glory and the way that you can take them. And I like the idea that you could maybe have a bunch of different clubs or individuals, you know, groups, etc., sitting down and putting together sort of cool narratives and interesting ideas that could then be shared online in blogs or in projects and that kind of stuff. Just sort of going into kind of like the story that they've wanted to tell about the Ravaged Coast. And stuff like this is just really nice, inspirational fodder, I think, for people like me who like writing stories and coming up with cool names for different characters. And this is the kind of thing that I'd really like to kind of carry over into my own campaigns that I'm currently playing. We've been doing an Ascension campaign for a while, but I like the way that Ravaged Coast kind of turns it up to 11 and kind of plays around with the format a little bit more, and adds in a few new tweaks and things here to kind of make it quicker and snappier for you to get your hands on new miniatures and things like that. So yeah, let's see how it breaks down. Obviously, this is a full new battle pack. You've got the core rules, the paths that you're going to take, the new universal enhancements and laws, the Emberstone Forge rules, and then obviously Regiments of Renown you can throw into the map as well. It kind of follows the same format as a traditional Path to Glory roster. So you'll be starting off with a hero. Normally start at 1,000 points. You can start at something different if you want. And your general, your leading hero, can be up to 350 points. So you're able to use the Anvil of Apotheosis rules that are available as part of your individual books, like the ones here that you get, in addition to the sort of core ones that are available as part of this. So yes, you have that option there as well. And then they kind of break things down in the similar fashion that they have done with regiments and stuff like that. So you get your general, and then they can pick 4 non-hero units to be part of that general, and then you can add 4 additional regiments up to that, each led by a hero. So that's a good change there. So you kind of cement your regiments straight away, which I think is a good way of doing things. They also have specific rules in here for Regiments Renown, auxiliaries, and reinforced units as well, plus unique units, which you don't tend to want to take in Path to Glory campaigns, but there's no reason why you couldn't do that. And I always like the box outs that they've done here, which is a really nice bonus. So pick your faction, pick your battle formation, pick a general, form your regiments. Each regiment has 1 hero and 3 non-hero regiments, 0 to 4 if it's your general's regiment. Add auxiliaries if any, pick your general's path, pick 2 spells if you have any wizards, and 2 prayers if you have any priests. So they're already amping things up a little bit when it comes to Ravaged Coast. And you'll see that they've done a few more bits and pieces here and there to kind of help people out on the way as well, which is good to see. So yes, definitely worth having a look at that in more detail. Then you pick your paths. So your general starts at the aspiring rank, which again leads back into Path to Glory rules from from the Ascension Battle Pack. There are 10 paths included as part of this battle pack, and 6 for non-heroes. So you've got a lot more options for you to choose from here, which is always good. I get the feeling that they're wanting you to pick from this battle pack and not mix and match between this one and Ascension, which makes sense. So essentially you've got these paths plus the ones that you would find in your army, in your battle tomes for your armies to pick from, which I think is a good idea of doing things. And then enhancements tracked in the same way. You'll gain them over time by gaining particular resources and doing other bits and pieces throughout the course of your games. Laws are done the same way as well. You build an arcane tome of those, and you'll choose your starting spells. You can pick 1 unlimited spell, and then in addition you can pick 1 regular spell as well. So you've got unlimited and a regular spell, and then unlimited and a regular prayer. So you've got a couple more options there for your starting characters, which is again just a good bonus and a nice update to what they were already doing with Path to Glory. Then you have your series of battle plans. So the way that this works is that you start out, because this is kind of mimicking the idea of almost like a map-based campaign at the same time. You start out in the Scorched Outskirts battle plans that you see here, which are spread between 1 and 6. So you've got Rift in the Peaks, Rise to the Ashes, Standing on Skulls, Ransack the Encampment, Blood in the Valleys and Light on the Fires. And then as you complete more games and gain more experience throughout the course of the campaign, you'll get access to the Norse Edge battle plans, the Hateful Shores, and then finally the Battle for Hell's Claw itself. So you've got the thing here that kind of breaks this down a little bit here. So the player whose general has the lowest rank rolls on the Scorched Outskirts battle plan to determine the battle plan. If both players have the same rank, the players roll off and the winner chooses which one of those they're going to be rolling on. Alternatively, the players can agree to pick the battle plan from Scorched Outskirts battle plan table, which you can see there. If at least one of the players has gained a total of 20 or more Emberstone shards during the campaign, this kind of shows that they've built up a a backlog of experience and all that kind of thing, you'll roll on the Nor's Edge battle plan, and then once you've won a battle plan from Nor's Edge, you can move on to the Hateful Shores, and then if both players have won a battle using a battle plan from the Hateful Shores, you can move on to Hell's Claw and effectively finish your campaign, but there's no reason why you couldn't just keep fighting, as it were. Battlefields are set to 44 inches by 60 inches with 8 terrain pieces on there, so a little bit smaller than your kind of classic battle plans, which is always good to see. Well, actually, no, that's the largest table they do, isn't it? Yeah. And then you set up these things called Emberstone clusters. So Emberstone is what you're using in order to buy new units and do more things in the game. And so you'll set these up on the tabletop alongside objective markers and all that kind of thing, and you can pilfer Emberstone from these over the course of the game and take them away with you, which is cool. So it's a good opportunity for you to do some kit bashing and converting and building your own Emberstone clusters. So maybe get some gems or something from a local craft shop, or in just some stones, and paint them in kind of like lava-y colours, and away you go, which is good. Then you do your deployment as per the core rules of the game. And then here's the interesting thing here, which kind of is a fun way of playing around with the rules for Path to Glory to kind of help with uneven forces. So whilst you might start out with 1,000 points per side, as you go through the game and you accrue Emberstone to spend on reinforcements, one army is going to be more powerful than the other over time. And the way that they've changed that is that you don't bring a portion of your force to the battlefield. So you don't limit yourself in terms of what you've got and bring less to the battle. Instead, you bring your larger army, and then they are that becomes part of a surplus value, which is then used to create stalled reinforcements. So you've got a good example here. If the total points value of player A's army is 1,450 points, and the total value of player B's army is 1,100 points, the surplus value would be 150 points. They must then use the following ability in the deployment phase, and we'll read through this because it's easier than me kind of bumbling through it. Pick a number of friendly units for combined points value equal to or greater than the surplus value of the targets. Set up their units as stored reinforcements. They have now been deployed, and then you can use the option here, so which is pick a friendly stored regiment to be the target. Roll a dice on a 4+, set up the target in a friendly territory wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. If it is not possible to set them up, they remain in reserves as stored reinforcements. I was reading the next bit of the page there. But this is really good because it means that you're not guaranteed to get your hands on the extra units for your battle, but it starts off even. And then over the course of the game, your other troops start to come in and you get that benefit of them ending up later on. So it means that each time you're going to be setting up to play the game, you are going to be twisting and changing and thinking about who's going to go into reinforcement and who isn't. And effectively, you do start with a different list each time. But I think it's a really good balancing mechanic, and it'll be fascinating to see how that actually works on the tabletop. And it also means you're not punished for spending your Emberstone shards on more models, only to then have to go back and play another 1,100 point game when you have 1,600 points worth of troops available to you. You also have the twists tables, which are used to change up how the game works and give you some interesting dynamic things to worry about in your games. And then you also have the underdog. So whichever player has the fewest victory points is the underdog for the battle round. If the players are tied, follow the rules as determined which player is these rules here. So you got those there. And then you'll roll all the tables, and there we go. And that will explain how you make use of that, which is a nice little bonus. And then you also have new abilities that are applied to this battle pack. So again, this doesn't make use of the battle pack abilities that you would have got in the match play rules. So you're not having to worry about those again, but instead you've got these ones to play around with. So you have Action Anger, which is a passive ability applied to all units. If a unit uses all-out attack, add 1 to hit rolls for that attack that target. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target that unit for the rest of the phase. So there you go. A land of fire and red hot temperaments burn from within all whose fight there, which is cool. And then you've got Poisoned Domain. If you're using Nor's Edge, Hateful Shore, or Hell's Claw, which gives you this thing which just sort of does damage to you when you're next to terrain. And you also have the ability to get your hands on Emberstone. So there's the collect Emberstone rules here, where you roll a dice, you do damage to the unit, but then you pick a certain amount of Emberstone tokens from the Emberstone clusters. But then this then transfers the Filled with Wrath ability to the unit, which is subtract 1 from save rolls from this unit, but add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by the unit, so it makes them better. And then you also have the dig site thing here as well. So pick an objective that you control to be a dig site. You cannot pick the same objective more than once per battle. Then pick a friendly unit that is not in combat and contesting the dig site to be the target. Roll a dice. On a 1, inflict a battle wound. We'll get to those in a second. And on a 4+, give the target an Emberstone token. So it's a more way for you to get your hands on Emberstone tokens for use in the game, which is good. And they all apply to the campaign further on. As standard in Path to Glory, it ends after the 4th battle round, or it can do. You roll a dice, and to see if it continues, you can obviously withdraw. However, there is the ability for your opponent to get a major victory, and you count as being and effectively it saves your units, but you give the opponent a major victory, which is a bit of a shame. One of the things I was interested in was about Emberstone shards in that replacement, actually, but it doesn't say that you don't. It doesn't say that you lose them, which is interesting, because I suppose you've already got them at that point. But there we go. And then obviously you can add replacement units, blah blah blah, and you've got the aftermath sequence that you need to dive into and follow along with. There we go, and there's the victory once you've won at the Hell's Claw battle plan. Boom. The aftermath sequence, this is where kind of like the meat of the campaign element of the game comes in, and this is definitely something that you want to get your head around if you're diving into a bit of Path to Glory. So you'll gain Emberstone shards. If you won, you gain 3 Emberstone shards. If you lost the battle, you gain D3. If the battle was a draw, you gain D3 Emberstone shards. You can reroll the dice once. If you fought a battle on the Hateful Shores, you gain an extra D3. And for each Emberstone token in your army, you gain 1 Emberstone shard. These shards are then added to your vault, and they can be used for a variety of different things. So you can promote a hero. There you go, which is cool. This is just part of the managing a roster thing. You'll see more stuff coming up later as well. You can retire units, and if you retire units, you get back a number of shards equal to the value of said unit. You can manage your enhancements. You can change your general, who could be usurped. So if things aren't going well for a particular general, you can change things up if they're already hurt, for example. You can change their path and take up new paths during the game. And then you can spend your Emberstone shards. And there's lots of different things you can do with that. You can progress along one of your paths. You can gain an enhancement. You can recruit warriors. You can acquire faction terrain. You can create Emberstone enhanced weapons. And you can hire regiments of renown, which will be very cool. We'll look at that in a second. So yes, once you get a unit embarks on the path and earns the aspiring rank at 1, just with 1 shard spent, then you've got elite, mighty, and legendary, each with their own costings. Same for heroic traits, artifacts of power, and spells or prayers. And then here's the value of Emberstone shards you need to spend in order to recruit warriors. So if you wanted to buy a unit that was between 301 and 400 points, you'd have to have accrued 6 shards in order to do that. Similarly, if you've got a unit that's between 101 and 200, you would spend 3 shards in order to do that. You should be able to effectively add a lot more to your army fairly quickly, even if you're losing, which I think is quite nice. If you're lucky, well, even better, of course. And then, of course, you can get the faction terrain, create the weapons, and hire regiments for now. Progressing on the path works similar to how it did before. We'll get to that in a second as well. And recruiting and adding units. So you can either add 1 unit to your force or reinforce one of an existing units. Basically just adds the unit to the roster, can fit into an existing regiment, and the same goes with reinforcing as well, which is good. Yeah. And here's we've got the battle wounds and battle scars. So each unit that was destroyed during the battle suffers D3 battle wounds. Any unit carrying Emberstone may have suffered ill effects through prolonged exposure. Roll a dice for each unit that has an Emberstone token. At the end of the battle, on a 1 to 4, they will suffer a battle wound. On a 5+, they are unaffected. But then this is where it stacks up. So over the course of the game, you're going to be starting to get battle scars, which you didn't find in the Ascension set of rules. So once you've accrued 5 battle wounds, you consider you have a serious battle scar that you then roll on here to see what it is. So as you can see, you've got serious, severe, critical, and then they're just out. They're dead, completely gone. And that'd be the unit just gets disbanded effectively at 18 battle wounds. But yes, so let's just give an idea of some serious battle scars, and we can leave the rest of them to have a look at yourself. So 1 to 2 at the end of the battle roll on dice on a 5+, they suffer D3 battle wounds. Ouch. Unyielding blisters, damage points allocated to the unit cannot be healed, or scorched limbs, subtract 1 from the run rolls and charge rolls for this unit. Pretty nasty. And they start to slowly rack over time. You can also heal those during as part of a ritual. On a 2+, pick a unit from your battle roll and remove a number of battle rolls that equal to the roll, which is quite good there as well. Very nice. So obviously battle scars are going to accrue over the course of your games, and they will start to give more narrative elements to your campaigns and sort of seeing how they go, which is really cool. I like that they're not massively deliberating. I think that's the word. They're definitely brutal, of course, but I don't think that they are so bad that they're going to massively affect armies over the course of the game. And it means that you're more likely to kind of just retreat from a battle rather than throw yourself into it entirely without any heed for the consequences. And then, of course, you've got the different battle plans that you can see here. I'm not going to spend too much time on those because I always like having a little bit of a surprise when playing Path to Glory and seeing what else is going to pop up. And of course, these are all different based on where you are in the Ravaged Coast. And then you have the different paths. So these are a whole bunch of new paths that you'll be using as the kind of basic ones, alongside the ones from, as I mentioned, your battle tomes. So you've got Path of the Brawler for heroes, Path of the Ruler for heroes, Path of the Duelist for infantry heroes, Path of the Warmonger for infantry heroes, Path of the Sorcerer, which is a new one for wizards, Path of the Conjurer for them as well. And then you've got a couple of the priests, so you've got Path of the Zealot and Path of the Invoker. Monster heroes get Path of the Colossus, and you've got one there for cavalry heroes in Path of the Dragoon. Path of the Guardian for non-hero units. Path of the Bulwark for non-hero infantry units. Like the new anti-cavalry tactic, that's pretty cool. Anti-charge +1 red, that's neat. What have we got here? Path of the Cavalier, non-hero cavalry units. Path of the Pack for Beast, which is a bonus one there for people who like running a lot of beasties. Nice to know that they can go down things. Path of the Behemoth, the non-hero monsters. And then Path of the Artillerist for war machines, which is a nice little bonus one there as well. So plenty there to cover all the different armies. And of course, you can sort of pause the video if you want and have a look at some of these paths for yourself. But in general, a really nice little selection of stuff, much more expanded than the previous Path to Glory rules. And it means that you're not going to get stuck doing something that you don't really want to do for the sake of going down later paths. You've got a bunch of new enhancements, traits and artifacts. So obviously these traits can be taken instead of the traits that you'd normally pick for your army. So if you're playing Slaves to Darkness, for example, or Stormcast Eternals, you wouldn't have to pick those ones. You could pick one of these from Hell's Claw, from the Ravaged Coast. You've also got new artifacts as well. The Axe of Boiling Wrath, the Sparking Shield, the Carved Magmadroth Horn, the Magmic Key, very cool. New spells, because you're in the realm of Axii, so you're going to get access to more fun and interesting Axii-based spell effects for you to use. So you've got loads of new spells to choose from. 6 of those, which is very nice. A new unlimited one, alongside 5 basic ones. And then a new set of prayers as well, which would be very nice for my Fire Slayers. I do like my prayers. It'd be nice to have some more offensive ones for my little tiny naked dwarves to use on the battlefield. And then you have the weapon forging abilities that you can see here. So The weapon forge is an interesting one. So once you've spent your shards, you can then use that to create either a ranged weapon or a melee weapon. And that's the new set of stats that they essentially gain. So, and then from there, you can add to those and build on additional weapon effects, which I think is really cool. So they've really done a nice job on kind of like enhancing weapons and giving you more options for Emberstone and playing around with that idea. And it means that if you're somebody who likes kit bashing and converting, you can use this as a really nice way to kind of build up a fun weapon for your army, and maybe do some painting on it to make it look like a big boiling sword or something like that, or a flaming bow and all that kind of thing, which I think is quite nice. There was something else about the Emberstone weapons that I was interested in checking out. If we go back to page 41, there was a bonus rule about them. Although I can't remember exactly where it was. Is it down here somewhere? Here we go. Yes, so here's the actual rules for them there. So you can forge one Emberstone weapon by removing 2 Emberstone to then do it. If the Emberstone enhanced weapon is a ranged weapon, you do that, etc. There was something about how to... Yeah, here we go. So, unstable Emberstone enhanced weapons. Roll a die for each Emberstone enhanced weapon in your army that was not forged in the Aftermath sequence. On a 1, that Emberstone enhanced weapon is destroyed, and the hero who has it suffers 1 battle wound. So the weapon, because it's so unstable, just explodes in your hands, which I think is very cool. Which is very nice. And you obviously get your original weapon back if that happens. So you're not going to lose that entirely and have no weapon, which is a bonus. You also then have a few new Regiments of Renown you can throw in. These are new characters essentially for each of the Grand Alliances that give you a new character to throw into the mix. So you've got the Realmstone Innovator for Order. You've got the Warped Saboteur for Chaos. You have the Sinister Nullifier for Death. And then Destruction get the Weird Crafter. And they each come with their own abilities at the bottom, which is a fun little bonus there. So yeah, that is a kind of breakdown. And obviously here's the new roster sheet, which has been way better designed because it gives you your general management with only the things that they can take. The hero and other units, hero and units, auxiliary units and arcane tome. Bonus, bonus, bonus. Very good. So yeah. Fun stuff there for people to get stuck into and build up interesting armies with. I really like the way that they've tweaked and changed things for this particular outing in Path to Glory. I think it's a really good enhanced version of the beginner version that we had back during the initial launch of the core game, and I've enjoyed playing that, but I think this one is a lot better suited to long-term play and also getting people excited about the idea of building up fun and cool armies quicker than you would have done in the original Path to Glory, which took a little while for you to get things rolling, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, definitely worth diving in and picking this up if you're a bit more of a narrative player. I think Ravaged Coast is set quite timely, set in a quite timely fashion alongside the events that are happening in Lord of the Rings, the events that are happening in Warhammer Age of Sigmar at the moment, and this should be a good book for you to dive into and have some fun with. As I say, if you're a narrative player, definitely go and pick this up. I will again point out that you will obviously need the core rules, which are free for playing this, but you don't need the Ascension battle pack anymore. You just need Ravaged Coast and then your battle tome of choice. So if you're playing Slave to Darkness, then you essentially just use the Path to Glory rules from the back of the book. So if we go and find those. So you just need this and the Path to Glory book. There is no basic Anvil of Apotheosis in there. So if you're going to be playing a faction that doesn't have Anvil of Apotheosis currently, then you don't find it in there. And you'll have to make do with kind of normal characters until you get your Anvil of Apotheosis from your core battle tome, as you can see here. But yeah, overall, I think that's a great sort of addition to the Warhammer Age of Sigmar range, especially for narrative fans who like doing something a little bit different. I can't wait to try this out and sort of take my Fireslayers and give them a new Ravaged Coast overhaul, as well as my Stormcast Eternals. Maybe take them on a new Path to Glory. That could be fun. To go up against my friends Chaos Soulblight Gravelords, and Gloomspike Gits. It'll be fun to see how that all pans out. Let me know what your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll talk to you guys in the near future as we delve deeper into more of the games that I love. So yes, I will talk to you folks very, very soon. Bye for now.